Welcome everyone to this SAP community call. My name is Minina Chao. I'm part of the SAP community team, your host today, and I am warmly welcoming my speakers today, Mohamed Abdel Hadi, and who is Vice President, Product Management and Strategy for SAP Data Warehouse, and Fabian Hartje, who is Head of Product Management for SAP Data Warehousing. And you will hear today about SAP Data Warehouse Cloud overview, strategy, insights, and I think it's also a great opportunity for you to raise your questions. So before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. You should be able to see a Q&A button. You're very, very welcome to ask your questions during the presentation. Just post them there and we'll reserve time at the end to address your questions. You can also feel free to use the chat with us, but make sure that everyone can see the messages. Otherwise, they are only directed to us, just so you know. With that, I'm happy to hand over to you, Mo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Minina. So thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure to talk on the SAP community call about Data Warehouse Cloud. So a lot of initiatives going on, and I have with me Fabian, who's leading my product management team. And yeah, today we want to give you a little bit of recap what happens at Sapphire, especially the announcements around our innovations, but also what kind of key capabilities we have with the solution, and also talk about a little bit what other customers are currently doing with the product. And yeah, so let's go into the topic. And if we look a little bit where we're coming from, you see a lot of applications are today available at customer side, different applications. If we have S4HANA, we have SAP HANA, we have non-SAP. And if we look a little bit in the history, so we always try to make this single point of truth, right? So we put everything in one place, but we also recognize, and this is what Gartner and others are saying, that the most of the customers are moving to the cloud in the next 3 years. So the data is increasing. There's a lot of different, I would say, lines of business projects going on where cloud is available, if it's on the CRM side, if it's the HR side, or we have different machine learning projects going on where the customer is looking for a new platform approach. If we look a little bit on the right side, what's currently happening today is that the customers, of course, they acquired a lot of different solutions. If it's about cloud data warehousing, a central data warehouse, data, they spend a lot of money in different data lakes and ETL solutions, and they really also struggle a little bit how they can bring all the data together. SAP, as you know, system of record, so a lot of data coming from SAP is a lot of customers are using SAP, if it's ERP or other cloud solutions, but they're also now looking for, okay, we have non-SAP and how we can bring everything together, right? Where is my structured KPI catalog? Where is my metadata? Where is my definitions of the different objects? So this is currently what is going on currently. There's a lot of challenges going on, and exactly that was for us also the reason some years ago to invest exactly in that topic, to look how we can help our installed base to move to the cloud with a data warehouse solution, but on the other side, how we can also reuse a lot of capabilities which we today have already. So next slide. So we, of course, we introduced Data Warehouse Cloud. So as you already heard, I think, for that strategic solution in the cloud for data warehousing and data platform, for us was very important that we say, okay, we want to go in a different direction, because we all know that we are coming, especially from BW and from HANA SQL data warehousing, from the, I would say, more IT data warehousing, but more and more customers really, they want to enable their business. We know they're having different use cases, they're pushing hard for the IT. That's why we invested in Data Warehouse Cloud a lot of business-oriented features and this kind of self-service capabilities, self-service modeling capabilities. And you see on top the concepts of spaces, data as a service, exactly the no-code modeling environment, also spanning a semantic layer to hide the complexity, openness that you can run also different BI applications on top of data warehousing, Data Warehouse Cloud. So for us, it was very important that we have for the business a lot of options, and to really increase the, I would say, the use cases at the business side. But on the other side, we all know how strong we have our HANA capabilities, we have our backend services, and that's why, of course, we have this layer of security, data integration, the federation, the transformation, and also how we persist the data. So of course, we use also the functionality and the HANA technology under the hood And that gives us, for us, a lot of, I would say, synergies, how we position Data Warehouse Cloud. If we look a little bit on the whole portfolio, you see that Data Warehouse Cloud sits really in the middle. And one of them, of the main elements are, of course, the spaces, the business layer, but also you see on top right, so SAC and HANA Cloud on the right side, Data Intelligence Cloud are for us very important component in the whole portfolio. And for us was like, okay, what can we use from data intelligence to increase the adoption or increase the data connectivity? So we integrated, for example, data flow into Data Warehouse Cloud and reused that. We have a strong integration with SAP Analytics Cloud that really everything what we built in Data Warehouse Cloud needs to be seamlessly integrated in Analytics Cloud. We're investing a lot in APIs, third-party APIs, how we can really access the data. And of course, all the, I would say, cloud qualities and everything under the hood needs to also come from HANA Cloud. On the left side, whereas our really strengths in the market, why customers selecting Data Warehouse Cloud and also the other components is, of course, we embed also analytics and data more and more in all SAP applications, right? And you know that we started with SuccessFactors and others where we embedded SAC into I would say the log application, which gives the customer a huge advantage to go really beyond their operational reporting. We also want to be this foundation for planning, for SAC planning with Data Warehouse Cloud in the future, that the customers who has actual and planned data having one platform and also integrate external data, for example, benchmark data for HR, and you want to use that from SAP and external and use that for the plan. We also look for other scenarios, how we want to integrate consolidation to that picture. We look at that we have one data model across all our applications, right? That we deliver the predefined models, if it's for SuccessFactors, if it's for CRM, if it's for S4, that the customers don't need to rebuild everything from scratch. So that is one of the most pain that the customers need always to rebuild. If they go for another solution, other hyperscaler, they need to really rebuild all the metadata and the business content. That's why we have a strong offering that we give predefined content, and we will hear about that next slides. But also, maybe one slide back first, and also the whole topic left of the migration, how we can bring BW data more and more to Data Warehouse Cloud, how this the hybrid cases works seamlessly together. Right, Data Warehouse Cloud and BW, SAC, and Data also SAC and BW. That is something where it's our key priorities for the future. And business content, we will see on the next slide, is one of our key priorities still to say Data Warehouse Cloud is really the semantic layer and the only solution for SAP. It makes no sense to put another solution on top of SAP than Data Warehouse Cloud. Next slide, please. But okay, if you look a little bit what kind of innovations we announced at Sapphire, for us was very important that we also look for what kind of key innovations we can deliver to the business. And a lot of companies they really struggle, and you see that on the certain new data-driven use cases, they really struggle with how they bring external benchmark data together. We announced at Sapphire a new component in Data Warehouse Cloud. It's called Data Marketplace, where benchmark data, where research data, where analyst data, really, if it's weather data, really, so different data can be really easily integrated, right? So if I need open data, can plug and see the tiles and can combine them with SAP data. We also want to invest in a data catalog solution, right? In one data catalog solution, we have already catalog functionality in Data Warehouse Cloud. We know in SAP Analytics Cloud, we have a catalog solution there. But we will try to bring now everything together with one service that the different products can really interact with each other. On the right side, I talked about this SAC planning needs also a very powerful, I would say, data platform in the cloud. We all know we have hundreds of thousands of customers already using SAC planning on top of BW and S4. But if we increase more and more Data Warehouse Cloud scenarios, they also looking for how we can run our planning, I would say, processes in Data Warehouse Cloud and can really bring a plan and actuals here together. So this will come end of the year, the first version, and next year we will invest more and more in more scenarios. Business content is a very key component. We delivered also a lot of partner packages, SAP packages. We're investing in S4 content, which will be automatically be available in Data Warehouse Cloud. This is our really strength, as you know from BW already. We delivered a lot of business content, and we will do the same and doing also the same already in Data Warehouse Cloud. And one of the really I would say, key innovation what we are working on is really how we can bring BW, I would say, data and also I would say more the staging and reuse of the objects into Data Warehouse Cloud, so real migration. So we are looking that we can really reuse a lot of BW data, BW objects into Data Warehouse Cloud. So customers ask us how we can move more and more workload from BW functionality to Data Warehouse Cloud. So we're working here on a reuse of investment capability where we really can bring complex applications, complex algorithm, complex transformation, ETL transformations, etc., to Data Warehouse Cloud under the hood. Yeah, so that's something which is really great, and a lot of customers really will leverage that. So they're starting maybe with hybrid today, connecting Data Warehouse Cloud to SAP BW, but more and more they can move, I would say, their customizing intelligence and workload to Data Warehouse Cloud directly. So as a summary, you see a lot of innovation if it's data marketplace, catalog, foundation for planning, business content as an element which is really reusing their investment from that customers don't need to rebuild everything in third-party data warehouses. On the left side, especially a big block because customers also extracting BW data, etc. Now they have really a great journey with the migration tool, and we are starting end of the year with the first use cases, and with Q1 we will have more functionality. So you will hear more on TechEd about that, but it's going with this migration already in the right direction. So with that, a little bit a short overview about innovations. I would like to hand over to Fabian, which will go more in details about the different capabilities.
Yeah, thank you, Mo, and thanks for already introducing parts of the reuse of investment. I will specifically now focus on our new data-driven use cases as well as the foundation for planning to give you some of the required details to that one. And for the data-driven use case specifically, I want to shed some light on what data marketplace is, what it is about, and what we actually intend to do by that one. So moving ahead, in the end, what we see as one of the challenges with our customers is how to integrate external data. Like you have a lot of external data coming from different data providers, but still though, there is a variety and a heterogeneity across all these data providers, how they provide you with that. Either it's file, they have their own database that you would need to connect to. They have APIs that you need to attach to your data warehousing solution. So it's a lot on how to actually integrate this external data, given from the past of where we see customers coming from, and also what Mo alluded to, the current notions that we have, that there is a variety of source systems. It's not only your source landscape that is expanding, but it's expanding by chance also by external data providers, and we see that growing overall in the future. So especially how to leverage this external data integration will be a key pillar to it. And on the other hand side, it's also how you can actually monetize data that you have on your system. So it's not only that you pull in data, but maybe you're generating data as well. So we see that, for example, by chance with in the health sector, where certain health data is being collected, which can be offered again to pharmaceutical industries in order to give them a right data foundation. And so this is from being a data collector or data creator, if you will, to turn yourself into a data provider. And by chance, this is a far step that you would need to do in order to get there. And especially with Data Warehouse Cloud and its Data Marketplace Connect component, we definitely want to help you in order to get there more easily, rather than like reinventing the entire wheel and needing to heavily invest into other tools, into other components, in order to turn yourself from a customer, a data consumer, into a real data provider. Besides that, we have this aspect of data harvesting. What do we mean by that one? Actually, you have stakeholders within your value chain, within your processes, that actually deliver you with data that you require in order to do the next steps on that one. So you're actually requesting stakeholders to bring data to your Data Warehouse Cloud instance, and Data Marketplace will also help you in that one by attaching to to other ecosystems, or like actually build up this ecosystem and bring all these disparate or separated data warehouse cloud instances together, moving you with other data warehouse cloud customers and actually family and friends, if you will, closer together, and allowing this ease of data exchange. And then finally, this is where we end up with, right, with connected data warehousing, so that it really helps you throughout the value chain. Have all the relevant data at place. Is it an external data provider that you explicitly bought data from? Is it a customer that turned into a data provider that helps you solve your business challenges quite fast, ways faster than you do it today? But also allow you then to interconnect with other data warehouse cloud instances out there. This is like the fullest picture of where we want to get to. First step that we're going to do with Data Marketplace is really to bring that data provider into the play, allow them to bring their data products to Data Warehouse Cloud. And I have brought with me a short video that shows a preview onto the Data Marketplace. So you'll find the Data Marketplace in the right-hand menu section, and it will give you an overview on all the different data products available, not data providers, but data products in the end subset, or like a data provider would have multiple data products. And by looking at that one, you will find, for instance, from PwC, HR benchmarking information. And on the one hand side, you get the full overview, like description of what this data product is about, but also you get right from the beginning sample data that you can simply load into your Data Warehouse Cloud instance. Because what we learned is with data products, it doesn't help you if there's a simple data product, but you have no idea whether you get that integrated, right? So really browsing through the different data products, testing it out, and once you feel, okay, this is the right data product, I can use it, it does also make sense in my data environment, you can simply then start loading it with the license key provided, in this case by PwC. You can decide in which space, so to speak, in which target do I want to integrate this data. There's no HR, makes perfect sense to bring it to the HR space. And I can start loading the product instantly from the Data Marketplace. So I don't need to think about which API to connect, how to bring that data together. This is all abstracted by the Data Marketplace, and I can simply get that data from, in this case, PwC as my data provider, and bring it into the game. And once I'm then in there, Data Marketplace is actually being accompanied by what we call the intelligent lookup. And now think of, you got a data product and you want to integrate that. And typically where the difficulty is you now got the connectivity right. Next step is, how do you integrate it? Like, there is maybe no natural join key that you could simply be using because it's different master data, if you will. So there's no direct overlap. And this is exactly where the intelligent lookup comes into play to help you, in your case, harmonizing data with ease. It's external data, so you cannot simply change that data. It's being provided by a data provider, and they have their standards which they follow. So in the past, what you could be doing is you could simply use an ETL tool, process and automation knowledge, and by that one, harmonize the data to bring it to its fullest. But this is typically a task that we see being handled by IT. Now with Data Warehouse Cloud, we want to turn that, right? We want to bring business into play, and we want to get business operating on data. And so this is exactly where we also see then the subject matter experts. They exactly know on how this data relates, what can be combined with each other. And this is not only holding good now for data coming from the Data Marketplace, it's actually holding good for every data source that you would find in your Data Warehouse Cloud instance. So in the end, business is more working on an explorative approach, knowing how to mix that together from a business perspective, while IT is more like bringing you the tooling and a lot of automation knowledge. What we in the end are doing is, today, we have projects that are running, and projects, as it already says, are timely bound, right? And it also requires you to put some effort on. Still though, that happens on the current set of data. What is if data changes in the future? You can anticipate, you might nail it right, but reality is you typically then need to iterate over and over again, and this simply gets expensive. And for that reason, we introduced the intelligent lookup within Data Warehouse Cloud that exactly caters for both sides, business as IT alike. And it allows business to start off with an intelligent lookup, bring the data together, match it to its fullest need. And from there, you then can also think into direction how to automate that. And if there's a change in data, if there's a change in rules, business is obligated to simply change it in the intelligent lookup, rather than always requiring IT to run a next iteration onto that one. We will later on have a short look on how this intelligent lookup feels like in the system. So I brought a demo with me, giving you a bit of a preview and an idea of what we are doing in the end. So in the end, to summarize, it's on the one hand side, the intelligent lookup is meant to be interactive, right? It allows you to, on the fly, elaborate how well is my matching working, how well do I bring these disparate data sets together. It allows you also to flexibly react on changes, on matches that you need to do. You don't change the source, but you actually change the mapping table. In the end, the mapping that is being created is something that is repetitive, right? I can apply it over and over again. So it's not a one-time shot of which I'm doing, but it's also bringing a certain level of automation required in order to react to these changes. Overall, it's a no-code approach. So it's a full graphical user interface. You don't need to program anything for that one. The beauty is you're actually defining rules, and these rules will be then applied over and over again. Now, the thing is, there are rules, yes, but rules don't always find matches, right? So we also support you by finding the ones that didn't find a match. And it's up to you as the subject matter expert to decide, do I now do an individual mapping? Or can I derive a rule that I can always apply? So the intelligent lookup is this good balancing between making fast forward progress, but also again, looking into what can I turn into rules. Overall, I have, again, the knowledge within the system. It's not in my head, right? It's in the system, in this intelligent lookup, which can be shared and published. So others can benefit from that as well. And in the end, the benefit is still what I already said. It's a simple tool set to support tackling complex cases in a first approach, and from there on continuing. And still though, it's not that I require at every step that I do IT interaction right from the beginning. And that overall is what we intend to do with the intelligent lookup in conjunction also with Data Marketplace. Beyond that, to just give you the fullest overview of where we also are heading to with SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, intelligent lookup is one of the aspects on how we start out. And the data interaction suite of one we envision is actually bringing three pillars together: inspect, care, and curate. And you see, intelligent lookup is really in the end part, curate, like bring that data to life. While inspect and care is really looking at the early stages of, I want to preview data, right? I want to instantly understand what is this data about, what is the quality, what is the value in there. While caring then is the next step to it, to say, yeah, okay, I now manipulate data on the fly. And there we already have the data maintenance today within Data Warehouse Cloud that supports you to a certain degree in caring about your data, which then is being subsequently followed by data overlaying, where you then simply say, yeah, I have a data set, but there are changes that I need to do, but I cannot do it in the source system, right? Because would need or would require a process to change it. So data overlaying will help me in the end to get to the right analytical results while not changing the data from the tables or from the source systems, where data manipulation is more like on this, okay, I definitely need to change it because it's simply wrong. And then curate, last part, we already looked at the first thing, intelligent lookup, bringing disparate data sets together. And this then finally flows is a starting point on how we think of curating data overall in Data Warehouse Cloud. It's just for you to get an overview and an idea of what we are thinking towards with Data Warehouse Cloud and what we call it the data interaction suite. This is exactly now building on the pillar Data Marketplace and overall the intelligent lookup, which you will be finding today. And I also want to cover again on the one part that Mo was already addressing or going after, is especially how Data Warehouse Cloud and SAC Planning will be growing together going forward. The first integration that we are foreseeing with SAC Planning and Data Warehouse Cloud is a replication-based planning approach. What we want to do by that one is we want to leverage Data Warehouse Cloud as the data foundation to SAC Planning. Still though, it will require data acquisition to happen. So SAC will acquire data directly from Data Warehouse Cloud. You will do your planning on top of the acquired data, the planning result in the end will be done, or you will then have the possibility to bring that data back to Data Warehouse Cloud, meaning bringing your budget, your plan, and your actuals data together and then run the reporting on top of it. So in the end, this is more like, I would say, the lightweight approach. And we actually are going even a step further to think into the direction of planning as a service. What changes from the left picture to the right picture is the omittance of data replication that needs to happen. SAC planning will be directly capable to use data coming from Data Warehouse Cloud and build the planning model on top of it. Meaning from actuals data in Data Warehouse Cloud, I can directly generate my planning version without data replication running in between. I run my SAC planning or my planning like I did before, and the result is instantly available again in Data Warehouse Cloud, so no data replication at all. And by that one, we simply bring you to the level that you don't have to remodel, reinvent, especially dimensions and its data on the different tenants. Important to understand from that picture is planning remains with SAC. It's not becoming part of Data Warehouse Cloud. Data Warehouse Cloud is only meant for delivering the data foundation for SAC planning in order to have this highly integrated planning approach. And it's just to give you a bit of an overview of what we are heading to. So first, replication-based. Second, then the planning as a service approach, meaning the replication-free approach of the integration. And with that, I would say, let's get our hands a bit dirty on Data Warehouse Cloud. I brought a mixture with me between Data Warehouse Cloud, a bit of an overview to get everybody on the same page. And then I also have a preview demo of the intelligent lookup, how this will look and feel inside of Data Warehouse Cloud. Again, for the ones that are not yet too familiar with Data Warehouse Cloud, the entry pages is what it looks like. So actually, Data Warehouse Cloud splits up in a few areas that are worth mentioning. We definitely have the business layer meant for the semantical reuse layer, high standardization, and actually meant for bringing the semantical richness in order to allow more, I would say, non-tech savvy users in order to get their job done. The data builder, then subsequently below, meant for data integration, transformation, and harmonization in order to actually build up your data foundation, if you will. And relevant to all of which, the data and the business builder alike, is actually the topic of spaces. Spaces are the central part in Data Warehouse Cloud and are actually meant for separating your modeling artifacts, separating your user bases from each other. So let's simply pick up one of our spaces that we want to take a close look at on, in this case, my SAP and partner content space. And what you will find, what makes up such a space, is actually a name so that it's easily identifiable. There's also a quota bound to it, so I can decide for whether I want to enable or disable the space quota setting. What it helps me with is, think of you operating Data Warehouse Cloud within your enterprise, but you want to take the compute and storage that you got and try to split it up between the different entities, the different LOBs. This is exactly what space quota is meant for, to actually then say, hey, this is the amount of disk and memory that I gave you. Then we have other options about priorities and statement limits. This is especially for performance reasons, in order to actively manage which of the spaces do I want to prioritize over each other, with the ultimate goal to actually achieve a perfectly utilized Data Warehouse Cloud instance and serving all of the different use cases with the same amount of performance priority that is actually required. A space is made up by assigned users. We don't need to go into that one too much in detail. They can define how can I access my space, can make it available for databases directly so that I can directly connect to the underlying HANA Cloud system, but also for data ingestion, meaning other tools funneling data into Data Warehouse Cloud by the means of an ODBC connector. And the same would hold good for the data consumption case. So I can also utilize this database users in order to get data out of Data Warehouse Cloud. Last but not least, the most important part is about how do I bring data into Data Warehouse Cloud. And it's not only about the ODBC connector. SAP Data Warehouse Cloud comes with a whole bunch of different connection options, different connection types out of the box, and we are constantly growing on that one. So we definitely find partner integration tools like Precoq and Adherence. If you're running these today, you can directly integrate them with Data Warehouse Cloud, and by that means bring data via Precoq into Data Warehouse Cloud, but also you can directly connect your source system. Definitely, there's a whole options on how to integrate with different SAP systems, the generic ones, ABAP and HANA. The same, I can directly connect to my BW, my ECC system, but I can also directly connect to my S4HANA Cloud or S4HANA on-premise system, and also non-SAP sources like Microsoft, in this case Azure, my GCP or AWS instance can be directly attached. So I simply go ahead for Athena, for instance, provide all the connection details, and simply provide a name and description. And by that one, I made data available and accessible by Data Warehouse Cloud. That's the first step, what I would be doing. With that done, I simply cancel that out for the moment. We can move ahead into the data building area. Remember, data building meant for data integration, transformation, and harmonization. I have different options on what I can do. I can definitely create data flows. Data flows actually meant for bringing data into Data Warehouse Cloud, and it's a component of Data Intelligence Cloud that is directly embedded. And so I have the option to directly create a data flow in Data Warehouse Cloud. And in the end, what makes up a data flow is in the end to have an input table. I can do joins, unions, but I can also, and different to a simple view modeling, create scripted Python scripts. So I have directly the Python editor at hand and can do my actual data transformation and harmonization via Python. And once done, I simply bring the results into a table and then have the chance to schedule this data flow, run it on an iterative fashion in order to pull the data from the source system into Data Warehouse Cloud. That is one part or one idea on how I can bring data into Data Warehouse Cloud. Important to understand, data flow is one option to it. Overall, we actually follow the approach of a federation first principle. What do I mean by that one? Data resides on the source system, and you simply leave the data where it is first. You start modeling, make it available in your consumption tenant, like SAC, for instance, and then you decide, do I meet my performance requirements? Do I meet my SLAs? Am I capable of handling the workload on the source systems? Do I need to manage egress costs? For instance, I attach to hyperscalers on how I can actually, or do I need to manage that? And then I decide for either replicating, meaning I bring the full table into Data Warehouse Cloud, or I materialize views, taking snapshots, if you will, from an aggregated level. By that one, actively controlling the data footprint. Now let's take a look at a view available. And so I simply look for my content area, which is called, it's in the finance area. And so my financial transactions view is actually bringing together my financial transactions, but also product information, customer information, and by that one, building this one broad view that I could simply be using then within SAC. And so what you actually already see, it's a certain level of abstraction, might be looking very familiar to what you know from HANA calculation views, is the graphical view editor. So by that one, simply bring together financial transactions. I need to know how do I join these data sets, right? So the system won't leave me off of that. So I need to define a join type, cardinality for in order to properly do optimizations. And finally, I end up with my financial transactions with the full view of measures, but also the different attributes required for my reporting case. The beauty again in here is that I at any time can do a data preview. And this is exactly what sets us apart a bit from what you classically know from the modeling tools, is I can look at the live data. And now the beauty is it doesn't make a difference whether data is federated or replicated into Data Warehouse Cloud. I always have the chance to look, prove the data. Did I do the right thing? Did I took the right join types, etc.? And by that one, validate at an earliest possible state. Once done, I simply save that view, deploy that view, and then I would directly have the chance to consume that directly in SAC and build my SAC story on top of it. Now you might ask, you already did the job. What is now the business layer for? And so let's look at the business layer shortly. The business layer is actually meant for, as that, for a higher standardization, but also to foster reuse across different content areas that you would find. So the business layer in this case, now again, along this financial transaction example, actually looks a bit different. So what I actually now would be doing on the data builder is I would integrate the data in order to get to this one representation of my financial transactions, but also to have my dimensions, accounts, customers, product category. Now the thing is, with financial transactions, and let's take a closer look on that one, there's always one representation of it. The business layer supports me with a versioning approach, so I can simply switch between different views from the data builder being provided. Always will have one representation, but I can simply switch to these versions. And what makes up such a financial transaction, for sure, are the measures, are in the end the attributes. And now I can simply also start previewing the data, right? So I can again look at the data like I did before on the data layer. And now again, the value that we are bringing to that one is that the business layer is not only about this data previewing, but it also allows you to directly look at the associated dimensions. And what you will find is that you actually can walk along the entire association chain. So product, again, refers to product category. And I can simply now start freely, without even doing anything of modeling, look at my financial transactions from a product standpoint of view, bring that together. I can simply cancel out the ones that I'm not interested in, and now see by product the value in terms of financial transactions. Again, the beauty is I have now the chance to, via an input parameter, realize a version control, right? I can separate actuals from budget value and simply on the fly look at this business entity, these financial transactions, to identify, is this the right thing I'm looking at? And up until now, I have not done any level of modeling. I just explored of what is being there, especially for a non-tech savvy person that does not necessarily know exactly is not the right thing what I'm doing. This is a perfect way of early exploration. Once I feel confident this is the right source that I would be working with, I can now build up a budget adherence calculation. What I'm now doing is I build up my consumption model, pulling in the financial transactions with a budget and actuals information. The system will also help me in finding the right version. So you have seen earlier, I switched these versions, right? And there's a recommendation behind that one, which is the right version to use. I use now this version controllable version of the financial transactions. And by that one, I have the simple chance to also say, hey, there's a change. You should actually update to a new version. And what I now did is I brought budget and actuals together along the product category. So I'm actually walking along these associations, defining, I want to have my budget adherence along the product category. Final step is I actually need to bring in this calculation of a budget adherence. And it's a very easy calculation. It's 1 minus budget divided by actual. And with that one, I actually have everything done, right? I brought together the different sources. Actually, if you realize that one, I haven't even and never needed to define what is the join type, how are these being associated. This is simply using the metadata that we have available. And then I can simply preview the data again at an early stage without even doing anything. And now I can simply bring in the budget adherence to see is my calculation right. Again, with this being done, I can simply move ahead into my SAC tenant. Either I use this embedded story builder or I simply switch via the app switcher to the analytics area. And in there, you will then find the appropriate SAC story. And I simply shortcut on that shortly, where I find the SAC story that is then simply being fueled by data coming from Data Warehouse Cloud, all of that integrated in one tooling within the same control. So actually bringing all of the elements between reporting and the actual modeling together in this one place. And simply, those are the data that we have seen before, coming from the data builder and business builder alike. Now, this was a bit of like a quick run through on what Data Warehouse Cloud is being capable, and I promised I will also touch shortly on the intelligent lookup. Now, just to give you the right scenario, think of you have some airport data, some passenger data, and you have continental sales responsibilities, and you simply want to match them together. But the data is not yet harmonized, so there's not this unique join key that you could simply be doing. So you do not get this 100% match. And this is exactly where intelligent lookup comes into play. What you can be doing is with intelligent lookup, you bring together an input table, you have a lookup table, and the system then provides you with a rule matching. The rule is now an exact match between the continent key and the continent information coming from the lookup table. Sorry, continent key from the lookup table and the continent from the passenger data. Just clean up our screen a bit. And now the system supports me actually in finding these matches. So what I can see that 341 rows already did find a match from the lookup table. But I'm actually interested in these unmatched ones, right? Data that couldn't be brought together. So I found out that Sydney Airport, I don't have any sales responsibility in there. Now the question is simply, what would I be doing about that? I could either leave it open, or I could simply say, yeah, this is being handled by the Asia guys. And in order to get my reporting right, I can now simply match these together. What I did is actually started out automatically via this exact matching. And then I decided for, okay, what do I do next? I actually bring that together by taking the lookup table and by that one actually telling, yeah, Maximilian luckily is also responsible for my Australia airports and should be taking care of these passengers. So with these easy few steps, I actually brought that disparate data sets together, which I couldn't do, because just think of the scenario we were describing before with the data marketplace. There might not simply be the chance that I can now take this lookup data and simply change it. Again, the intelligent lookup will help me in doing so. I can either say it's an exact match if I'm looking at keys and I simply don't have the right cardinalities, or I have keys that are not matching, or I could easily use fuzzy match, or either use fuzzy matching in order to simply go over different strings, and by that one actually get to a higher coverage in terms of data matching scenarios. The intelligent lookup will get available by the end of this year. It's already a preview that I wanted to give you. And with that one, I shortly want to wrap it up and give you a bit of an overview also about customers that we already have today running on Data Warehouse Cloud. And one of our first customers joining our Data Warehouse Cloud journey is Porsche. And what they exactly did is they looked at how they can optimize their sales reporting overall, and also especially the prep time it requires them in order to get their reporting ready. Pain points in the past was they had a lot of different SAP sources, or a lot of sources that they needed to bring together. It's all a manual process. And as I said, data was siloed. And so with Data Warehouse Cloud, they actually got the solution to attach, first of all, to all of these data sources, also connect these non-SAP data sources with the SAP data in their BW4HANA system. And by that one, really cutting the prep time. In the end, they position Data Warehouse Cloud overall as their now key element in their architecture, while BW4 is still running, still being continued, while their non-SAP sources are still being continued. So it's not, they did not look at it like, okay, we now move all the data into a new source. No, they rather thought of bringing Data Warehouse Cloud into the game, allowing to tap in all of these data sources, allowing to build a harmonized reporting analytics layer on top of it, and then having SAC as the consumption tool on top of it, actually allowing them for their reporting cases. And by that one, they actually had the chance to bring all these needed different and disparate data sources together in that one place. Milko Bell, by chance, is looking at a bit of a different example. They were just looking at their BI landscape overall and experienced low performance. They were missing especially the self-service for the business and how to achieve that. Request to go via IT, exactly what we already addressed before. And also they wanted to cut their efforts in their reporting processes. And they were specifically looking at S4HANA as one of the source systems, but also they had some other data sources like Oracle and Excel that they simply wanted to bring in there. And now the beauty again is they could bring up their S4 sources directly to Data Warehouse Cloud. And that's also what we see with other customers picking up right now. There are a lot of customers coming with, I have my S4HANA source, but I want to bring in other data sources as well. And this is exactly what Data Warehouse Cloud supports you with. Again, you also see it, they have a federated and replicated data integration approach for S4HANA. So not all of the data necessarily needs to be replicated. While for Oracle and Excel, they simply decided to bring that data into Data Warehouse Cloud and then again have their consumption parts on top of it. On the one hand side, SAC, on the other hand side, Webby, which they also placed on top of it. And this is just to give you a bit of an overview of what our customers are currently facing and what they are currently heading to. And what I definitely recommend is to join us on the 12th of August in our DWC session, where we definitely will go more into detail on customer use cases. What are the trends that we see occurring with our Data Warehouse Cloud customer base? If you're interested in the area of data ingestion, definitely worth it to join us on 18th of August. And on 19th of August, you can join us on our roadmap experience session, where we go into what is coming in Q3 and Q4, and we'll shed some more light on aspects that we didn't cover today. And with that, I would give it back to Mo and finally to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Fabian. A great overview about the real new innovation which will come in Data Warehouse Cloud. I think it will really be very interesting for a lot of consulting companies or even customers really to test that scenarios. I think with the early adopter care program, with beta program, with trials, with POC tenants, which we provide, I think we have a great opportunity to work with partners and with customers to test the use cases and then to go in a real use case. And please follow us on social media and the community. Ask your question in the community side. It's a very great opportunity for you to push a position there, your questions and everything. But hey, we want to give you also an opportunity last 10 minutes to unmute yourself. I think you need to raise your hands and then you can unmute and then we can try to answer your questions. So please feel free and ask us questions and we try to answer them.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Fabian, also from my side. I saw a question already answered, so that's great. Another one in the Q&A window. But yeah, we love to hear from you.
Yeah, I think Fabian, maybe the one with the S4 connectivity, there's a question. Maybe you can take it.
Yeah, so the question was specifically, what's the best way to connect to S4HANA on the cloud? Is it the OData CDS views or the other pipeline CDS views? And what's the advantage of each one of them? So yeah, that's a bit of a tricky question because there we need to look a bit into the details on when to exactly use what. And there's not this generic answer, go for that or go for this other area. I think especially if you experience high data volumes, right? And there's a lot of data that you want to pull out of the systems. Our CDS views might be definitely a good way on how to approach it first. That's also what we see. I'm now talking a bit more on the S4HANA on-prem perspective also, which we see more often with our customers momentarily, is a good way on how to approach it. And this is also where you will find our innovation is that we actually pull out the metadata and not only the data from your S4HANA system. So this will definitely give you an advantage over the pure HANA connection, for instance, in order to get more metadata and a better starting point into your Data Warehouse Cloud modeling journey. Apart from that one, there is no direct thing. Don't do OData CDS views. So Samir, especially to that question, sorry for that. I cannot give you the perfect answer. Do this and that. It heavily depends on the use case. But definitely, if help is required on that one, we can do a deep dive on that one. There's no direct answer I can give, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I see that Samir has also raised his hand. So maybe you want to expand on your question or put some extra comments on it. I did unmute you, so if you would like to speak up, you can do now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for for that, first of all, thank you for the great session and all your effort. We are very happy to participate, and so thank you. Yeah, I know that it's maybe a little specific question, but when I saw that you showed the Data Warehouse Cloud interface and the connector, I had this question. So as you said, if there is no right answer, or we can maybe elaborate, we can take that maybe after through email, and we can have more further discussion on that. But simply, I have a requirement where I have to connect Data Warehouse Cloud to S/4HANA, and on the connector in the tool, there is several ways to do that. So that's why I asked the question. But we can continue that maybe later by email, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
yes,
I think we have some best practices document which we can also share with you, and I think Fabian can share that with you directly. So happy to connect with you then, Samir.
It would be great. Thank you so much, Mohamed and Fabian. Thank you.
Yeah, and Samir, perfect starting point, also alluding to our SAP Data Warehouse Cloud community. So it's always a good thing to ask this question openly so that everybody can participate from the answers, and it's not on a one-by-one. We're definitely more than happy to help you out to find the right answer.
Yeah, and but, additional to that, you know, Fabian, the Data Warehouse Cloud should be the logical step after an S/4HANA implementation. So I think this connectivity is quite important, because there are two main tools of the offering.
Yeah, thank you for that, Samir. More and more customers recognize that is true. That is the logical step for S4. I think we all know there are different solutions in the market, but I think our strength to S4 is the deep integration with our development organization. Both teams are working hand in hand together. Everything which built in S4 will be available in Data Warehouse Cloud, and that's the advantage, right? So what we have currently. Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you.
More questions, please raise your hand and ask questions.
I do like your slide here. So there are lots of call to actions for all participants, everyone watching, great events coming up. Mo and Fabian are always online available for you. So make sure you follow them. They have great insights and experience to share. But of course, I mean, take your time to ask your questions. I would stop the recording now for just to have the session ended at this point. So from my side, from the community, thank you very much, Mo and Fabian. We'll definitely continue to have the time open for Q&A right now.